What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. And let's get into it, all right? Here we are on this, the 29th of April. We have about 22 hours left in the day, a little bit less than 22 hours left in the day. If we look at this on a weekly time frame, 5 days, 22 hours left in the week. We're well underway on this week. We have a lot of time left to go. That was a very, very, very bullish finish that we had last week, wasn't it? Up 10% overall. That is a decisive breakout of this consolidation phase. My assumption is this is only the beginning of further things to come, right? I mean, if we look at this in comparison to the last time that we had a long-term consolidation phase like this, right? We had a very long-term consolidation phase like this. Where was the candle that decisively broke away from this? Well, it was this one here, right? And the candles that followed were glorious to the upside, right? One could argue that it was here. We moved around a little bit, but tomato, whether it took 2 weeks, whether it was the next week, whatever, we moved up. We go back in time a little bit more. What was the candle that broke away decisively from this range? Here, and that only took you to higher prices. Same thing here when you broke out of this range decisively. Maybe it was this candle or this candle, but either way, one or the other, it was the beginning of more to come. So here we are at the beginning of more to come. Where are we going to go? Where are we going to go? That's a great question. I think we're going to go right here. No, that's not how TA works. Some people do that, man. Some people, not financial advice, not a financial advisor. Maybe they're geniuses. Maybe they have some stuff already concocted and they just don't want to explain it. They're those guys who took the math test that never wanted to show their work. I'm that guy. Screw showing your work. It takes too much time. It's a timed test, damn it. Why do I have to show my work? I can just do it like that in my head. Anyways, you know, there's some people I see them do TA and they're like, yeah, no, maybe we do something like this. We'll consolidate. You know, I could see us doing like that. It's like, oh, just because you could see it doesn't mean it's going to happen. Like, don't you got to give me more than that, man. Here, where are we going to go to answer the question beyond just giving you a target on the map here? We're going to put some fibs on here. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but I like the fibs. I think we respect them. Here, I'll show you. Let's prove it, right? Right? Why should we pay attention to the fibs? Let's do this. Why should we? Maybe they're irrelevant. Maybe they're not helpful at all. But let's see. Relative high to relative low here. We stopped right here at the 1272, 1414 area. Very common to do. Pulling back to the 786, 886 from this area is actually very common. Inevitably moving up higher. You didn't really stop anywhere too significant. Maybe this fib is not the most relevant. Maybe we should take this high to low. Let's see. There you go. A little bit more respect. Showing resistance right here at the 1414 continuously. Finding support at the 100 area perfectly, right? Continuing to build from there. If we take the next high to low of this consolidation phase, high to low right here, that wasn't the high, this is the high to low right there, you can see that we ran all the way up to the 2272. And with the 2272, if anybody's watched this channel for even a day, probably a day, if not weeks, months, or years, you know that the rule is with the 2272, you don't stop right at it, you actually go just above it. And just above it we did. Where do we find support time and time again? Right here at the fib just below at the 1886 to 200 level. We had a scam wick below. We had a scam wick above. It's not perfect, but it's pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. We take a high to a low here, and you went again right here just above the 2618, just there, finding resistance, tipping it perfectly, finding support right there at the golden ratio, finding support right here at the 100, the 1272, looking pretty damn significant all the way through. We take a high to a low here. Where do we go? We went all the way up to our 1886 level again, and this is colored purple because the 1886 200, it's more of a zone in itself. So we did go right into that zone, closing right above or right below the 1886, closing right at the golden ratio, the 1618 itself, okay, and then tipping the 100 again. We keep tipping these 100 areas, man, and now we're finding resistance right here at the golden ratio, the 1618 right now. Do fibs work? I think they work, man. I think they work. And if anything, what we can derive there from all these movements, right? Let's go back to the very first consolidation phase of the cycle. Where do we run up to? Well, we found resistance just above the 2272 right there. Okay. What about this consolidation phase, right? From a high to a low, we found resistance right at the 2618. So 2272, 2618. Okay. What about this one? From a high to a low. Well, we found resistance right here at the 1886 to 200. Okay, so we have a range. We have a range of things that we've done this cycle so far. The range is from a high to a low of any consolidation phase that we have. Whenever we run up, we stop at either the 1886 200 all the way up to the 2618. This is your range. Okay, this is what we've derived throughout the cycle. Where, and this all came from the original question, we just broke out. We're continuing. We're going to get some follow through. Where is this follow through going to take us? And instead of drawing a circle somewhere random, we chose a box. that was somewhere a little bit more concrete with a circle in it. I'll delete that circle. Let's get rid of that damn circle right there. Now it's just a box. We'll call this the glory box. It's the box of glory. Glory and riches, okay? That's what it is. That's the only thing it could be. Get your mind out of the gutter. $203,000, $153,000, somewhere in that range. Personally, I like the 2272. I think that's where we're going to go. It makes a lot of sense to me throughout various forms of analysis beyond what we've just done here that we would go to something around $170,000 to $180,000, maybe even just above there. It really wouldn't surprise me if we went above 180K. But something around here. We take our box, we put it right in the middle of our glory box, the glorious center of the glory box. It's great. It's great. We could draw a little hole here, and it is the victory hole. That's right. That's what it is. $178,000. That could be where we go. 94.7K right now. Where are we going? Somewhere up here. When are we going there? Probably by the end of June, if not early July. That's my expectations. Are we stopping here? Is this the end of the cycle? It could be. It's possible. I accept that. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think that we keep going. I think that we have more growth after that. I really do believe that Bitcoin will see a multi-$100,000 price, a $500,000 price by the end of the cycle. We've got a lot more growth to go, but time will tell. For now, let's stay focused on the short-term stuff. You know, if Bitcoin by the end of June, if instead of reaching here, we stop down here, well, it's probably not going to get to 500K by the end of the cycle. I think this will be our end of cycle area. You know what I mean? We'll see how it goes. But if this goes exactly as expected, we got some good growth in the short term and in the long term. So what we've done was we derived this performance by way of fibs. I did my best to make sure that you guys are all on board with the fibs being significant. You're not convinced still, I hear some of you out there saying, so what, fibs? These are fugazi, foo-foo nonsense. Okay, fine. Let's do it through a different thing. Let's take something that's a bit more concrete. And by the way, the fibs are very concrete. The golden ratio, you guys, this is significant stuff right here, okay? I mean, it's something that the Romans used, the Greeks used in their architecture whenever they were building all of their magnificent structures. We can find it all throughout nature, mountain ranges, the regression of what are they called? The veins and leaves. It's not stoma. I forget what it's called, but you can see it in nature. You can see it in seashells, all kinds of stuff. The golden ratio reflects around some of the strongest structures that we've seen made by humans and in nature. It's literally a thing. So I think the fibs are very concrete. But if you don't think they're concrete, let's take something that nobody can argue is concrete or not concrete. And that's the price. Okay, hold on one second. All right, yeah. So concrete, what the price? All right, that's the next thing that we're going to take. The concrete thing is the price. So if we're looking at this, we look at the RSI, because this is directly correlated to the price. We can see that here we're at a low point, here we're at a low point, here we're at a low point, and we continue to grow each time into the overbought zone. Here we're looking to get into the overbought zone. We haven't done it yet, but inevitably that's where we're going to go. So let's measure this. Let's look at this in correspondence to the price. Well, here was the base of the first consolidation phase. Here was the base of the second consolidation phase. Here is the base of the third and most recent consolidation phase. So let's take that. Let's take the growth from the base to where we grew to. You could say it was a 79% move. You could say it was a 196% move, whatever you want to do. And you know what? I'm going to take it an even step further. Let's measure from here. Let's measure from the low here to the high here, right? Let's do that. 100% move there. We'll take the high. 96% move there. We'll take this low to high. 91% move there. This low to high. 120% move. We have literally all of our moves, and they're not even our moves. I normally would just measure the move itself, but we're going from the low to the high. We're going to do the low to the high this time. Let's take our smallest one, which happens to be 91%, low to high of any consolidation phase that we broke out of. Well, from low to high, that would imply that our minimum target, and again, this is not revolvent around fibs. This is just what we're getting here. The minimum target would be about $142,000 actually. 140. Let's get it right there. Right, we're 142. It's perfect. Right there. So that's our minimum target. The next target, if we put this, we fix this right to our low. If we can get it right there, right to the low, there you go. That'd be about 146K. Okay, 146, almost 147K actually, right there. Yeah, 146. So we got two targets there based on what we've seen already this cycle. The next one here, right there, $148,000, right? And then our most recent one, which is 120% move. This is something more appropriate to what I think we'll see, and I think we'll actually see the biggest move of the cycle so far. But this one here from a low to a high gets us all the way up all the way up at about 164, 165,000. Okay, so these are all of our targets based on something concrete, right? Now, maybe Bitcoin, by the end of this next rally, you stop somewhere in this area, right? All of these targets, by the way, were derived from very small movements, right? Very small movements that happened in the beginning of the cycle, right? Before the halving. And now we are after the halving. Before we continue, let's put this on pause and analyze that real quick. What does Bitcoin do before the halving versus after the halving? Well, we're going to do this real quick. This is something we haven't done in a while, but I used to do it all the time. We're going to go all the way back to the very beginning of time. This is part of the reason why I have the halvings ingrained in my head. The very first halving was November 28th, 2012. This was the very first bear market we had, right? Here's our first bull market, but there's no halving there. The very first halving happened here. November 28th this week. That week right there. That's whenever it happened. It's a very simple illustration that we're going to go through. A very simple set of examples here, okay? From the low to the high, we're just going to use a straight line. Here's your low, here's your high. This was the high before the halving. This is your bear market low to the high before your halving. This was your pre-halving move. Now, from the low after the halving, which would be here, to the high after the halving, to the end of the cycle, this is your post-halving move. Post-halving move, pre-halving move. Do you notice anything? I noticed two things. One, the post-halving move is at a higher pitch. Therefore, it moves faster. And it's also bigger overall. Bigger and at a higher pitch. Bigger, we move faster and we see more growth at the second half of the cycle, post-halving, rather than the first half of the cycle, pre-halving, right? We go to the next, surely that can't be a coincidence. Let's see if this keeps up, right? The next halving was July 9th, 2016, which would have been this week here, the week of the 4th. It's weeks or 7 days from the 4th, 5 days later, that's the 9th, so it would have been this week here. We had a bear market. Here was our bear market here, right? The bear market low, bull market beginning. If we take our low to our high, this was our pre-halving move. To the end of the cycle, this was our post-halving move. Yes, low to high after the halving. And we notice, like clockwork, like I don't even know what to call it, man. Like it's just sensible logic that, again, we get a larger move post-halving and a faster move because the pitch is higher. It's a steeper pitch. It's a higher slope, whatever you want to call it, and it's larger overall. So the biggest move happens after the halving. Let's keep going. In other words, the bull market only gets stronger after the halving, right? Any of the price action that happened before the halving is weak in comparison to what happens after the halving. We're getting somewhere. We're almost completing the thought. Don't you worry. We'll get there. May 11th, 2020 was the next halving. May 11th, 2020, right here, okay? Bear market low. This was the low, this was the high. Pre-halving move. Now, this was kind of sloppy pre-halving. We had COVID. We had so much crap happening, you guys. It was bad. But nonetheless, this is the data we have. And we had a bit of an oddity this time around. I'll show you what I mean. This is not our low to high. That was still pre-halving. We're not going to cheat the system. We're going to be real. Low, post-halving, high, pre-halving, or post-halving. Would it be here? Would it be there? I don't know. I feel like this was the end of the bull cycle personally. I feel like that is the end of the bull cycle there. So we're going to go with that high. Technically, I think that's like the end of it because we moved sideways. This is kind of a fake out high. Tomato, whatever. It just changes the pitch a little bit. And the pitch, for the first time ever, we actually see a slope that is lesser than our pre-halving. The post-halving slope is lesser. We had a whole lot of things going on here though, guys. We had COVID. We had high inflation, quantitative tightening was going on, interest rates were going up, right? Things were not looking good, man. Things economically speaking were not looking good. And still Bitcoin grew even in the face of all this stuff, right? The Ukraine-Russia conflict happened not too far after that, and tensions were flying before that. I have one guy that likes to say, Ukraine-Russia didn't happen until 2022. Well, yeah, okay, technically, yes. You think that just happened overnight? That was just someone threw a rock at someone's window. How dare you? Now we're going to war. No, this is something that was building up for months, you guys. For months. Okay? This is something that was happening well before then. You don't go to war with someone over in this time and you had no inclinations of doing it here. That's war. I've never been to war, man. I'm not a general. I haven't prepared for war, but what I can tell you, just from someone who's sitting on the outside, I would assume war takes months of strategizing, right? Like anything that you're going to do, it probably takes coordination and plans. And I would bet before the news actually hit the world, there were a bunch of people that were aware of it going on, right? I'm only saying this beyond all the other things we've talked about. There's a compilation of things that I think held the cycle back last cycle, and this might be why we saw a lesser slope than our pre-halving move. Pre-halving move, greater slope for the first time ever. Post-halving move, lesser slope, but it was still a bigger move overall. So still, the biggest moves happened post-halving. And if we really look at this, if we're really taking this for what it is, we go from the low of this move here to the high of this move. Let's just take this for what it is, not the actual low to the actual high there. And we take the same thing here, maybe not the low itself, but like the beginning of the move here to the end of the move right here. Okay, if we take it there, the slope is actually pretty similar. And in fact, the slope pre-halving is actually, this move is actually at a lesser slope than this move would be. Does that make sense? Even if we took it, hold on now, let me get the right one on here. Even if we took it from this low over here, they're still at a very similar slope. Okay, so post-halving still the bigger move nonetheless, right? However you want to look at it, the post-halving move is still bigger, but technically a lesser slope this time. Now, getting back to the main thing here, right? The main thing that we're talking about was that we have these targets here. All of these targets, every single one of them, do you know what they have in common? All of these white lines here, the one thing different about this white line here that we derived from the last low to high, this target comes from our post-halving move. So far, the post-halving move. Obviously, we haven't completed it. We don't have the end of the cycle. The pre-halving moves, all the ones that we derived, they all line up with this. So knowing what you know now, my question to you is, do you think we're going to have a lesser amount of growth after the halving? And the halving, by the way, happened. The halving happened April 20th, right? 2024. So that was all the way back here. So are we going to have lesser movements now than we did before the halving, which is where all these predictions come from, all these price-based predictions come from, or are we going to have greater moves? My theory is simply that we're going to have greater moves. I think any of these predictions are wrong and a joke, and they shouldn't be there. Really, the minimum expectation here would be that we see something at 164K, but that just doesn't make sense to me. Why doesn't that make sense to me? I'll tell you why. If we take a high to a low from the last cycle high to the bear market low, we're just below the golden ratio at $173.8 thousand. You're not going to stop right there. That doesn't make any sense at all. You're probably going to go just a little bit higher, as you commonly do, and you go just above the golden ratio there at about 180K. That's not enough for you? Okay, I'll hit you with this, right? Still keeping it price-based. Generally, every single cycle, as the bull market progresses, especially post-halving, we only get stronger moves, which would imply then simply that this next move would be stronger than the last move, right? And if the last move from the low to high would take us now to about 165K, I have a very strong assumption, my friends, that the next move will take us, which we're in the middle of right now. Again, this all stems from the question, where are we going now that we broke out of here? Where are we going? My assumption is we will be above $170,000. My assumption is it will be sometime in June, probably the end of June, if not very early July. That's been the assumption we've had for months now, probably months now, if not at least a month, at least sometime in March, probably almost 2 months now. And that's the assumption that will remain until we get to our glorious destination zone, right? The glory box with the hole of virtue. I've got nothing else for you guys. I think I've said everything that I need to say. 170, 180K, maybe higher than that. That's where we're going to go inevitably. It starts now. We had a very bullish finish to last week. And I mean, if you want the short-term stuff, let's look at it real quick, right? Daily time frame, we bullishly engulfed. Yesterday's, we bullishly engulfed the bearish weekend. We had more volume than both of those days put together. I wonder where we're going. Everybody's expecting that we have some volatility to the downside. Everybody is thinking that we moved up, we have to move down. After all, every time we moved up here, we moved down. We moved up here, we moved down, up and then down every single time. Surely we can't just move up and keep moving up like this, exactly like we did here. Exactly like we did here, right? Surely we can't do this and just keep moving up. No, we have to pull back and consolidate. This is the consolidation. This move is moving faster than anybody's going to assume. And by the end of the month, which by the way is only 2 days left now, in the next 2 days, we're going to see prices that are above $102.4 thousand. That's the goal. That's where we're going. We're going to grow stupendously over the next couple of days. It's going to be a phenomenal finish. I got nothing else for you guys. All the way up to 170, 180K we go. Hit the like button. Subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.